everyone, I'm Piepatch, and welcome back to Our Life Beginnings and Always. We are continuing on with Act 3, with Step 3, and moving on to charity this time. Should be interesting. I'm gonna make a guess that this is like a dog wash or a car wash kind of event. We'll see how that goes. Okay, I don't want to wait any longer. Let's do this. Cove pushed himself to his feet from where he had been bent down in the sand, stretching out his back and groaning softly. A tired breath slipped past his lips as he wiped his brow, looking out over the shore. It looks great. The two of you had been out on the beach since sunrise, cleaning up and down the beach, looking for various debris, and the work had paid off. Using a hand to shield your eyes from blinding rays, you glanced across the way where the other volunteers from Orca were gathered. They were easily recognizable by the high-vis vests they wore. It looked as though everyone was about ready to wrap things up for the day. I'm happy to see it's in a better state. I'm exhausted. Just glad it's almost over. You did great, Cove. Yeah, let's give some positive reinforcement. Why do I always psycho adult? You did great, Cove. The beach looks better than I've seen it in ages. I couldn't have done it without you. And the other volunteers too, obviously. We did a pretty good job, didn't we? You shared a smile, relieved to soon be able to take a break, but feeling proud of what you'd accomplished. Cove placed his hands on his hips, a pleased grin pulling at the corners of his mouth as he admired the work you'd both done. You had begun to realize during your time volunteering for the organization how seriously Cove took his service. It was easy to see that it was something important to him. You felt equally as invested and always gave your best efforts. You enjoyed the work but mostly wanted to have a good time. Miranda was right that you volunteered because it was a good reference. You didn't want to be there, but you didn't know. I think no. Yeah, no. Absolutely. We're invested. We're gonna help the environment. It was important that the ocean you grew up with was protected. Hell yeah. It had always been a big part of your life and you felt that the least you could do was give back in some way. Aww. It's been a good year so far. It's crazy to think that it's already time to push the big event. The big event? Oh, the charity event, I see. You let out a big breath, thinking of the formal dinner that Orca organized every year. Oh, a formal dinner. Yay! I know that sounds like a nightmare to most people, but I love having the opportunity to dress up all fancy. Ooh. Being a completely fundraising-focused event for large donors, it was crucial for the organization's projects in the year to come. You had to be over 18 to attend, so this was your first opportunity to actually see it in person. All you had heard about it so far was that it was a prim and proper occasion, with speeches and everything. Oh my god, speeches? No. You didn't know what else to expect from it, as you weren't part of the group who planned the evening. Before the big night came around, the volunteers would have to sell the tickets for it, and that's where you'd be helping. Ooh, I'm excited to go. I'm nervous about the event. I don't even really want to go. I'm curious about the night. You shrugged. Oh. I think I'd be a bit nervous, but I'm mostly kind of curious to see what it's like, I guess. It might be fun. I've never been to a professional type party. Same, yeah. Cove nodded, though he still seemed reluctant. I just don't feel excited about attending a super formal meal, with proper etiquette and stuff, you know. I love etiquette. He threw his arms out to the side, making a bit of a show at how ridiculous it seemed to him. I've got sand all over my room and only one nice shirt, and I go barefoot pretty much whenever I can. I'm gonna be so out of place. No, he's gonna look so cute in a suit. Oh my gosh, I hope he gets to wear a suit. Right, I bet you'd rather stay out here. That's probably true. I don't want to have to worry about manners. You can make it work for one night. Doing something so that fancy will make it fun. Yep, you'll definitely seem out of place there. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, I can understand why he'd be uncomfortable. Being the true beach bum you were meant to be. He chuckled a little and gave you a sidelong glance. You know me too well. You're pretty transparent. A small beeping noise came from Cove's pant pocket, and he pulled it out and glanced at the screen. Huh? It's the organizers. They've sent a text to the group. Time to call it a day here. Oh, cool. Cove tucked his cell away eagerly, turning to you. Let's head over and drop the trash bags off at the trucks. Then we can drive back and join the ticket team. We've got to be there pretty soon to relieve them. With a stretch of shore this long, the plan was to switch places with the other team who had been pushing the tickets for the fundraising dinner halfway through. It would be a full day of work, but it was August's largest event of the year, and all hands were on deck to make sure it was a success. You raised your hand for a high five, hell yeah. You nudged your shoulder against Cove, you started pushing Cove on the back to move forward. You ran up, you started to walk. High five! Cove's palm slapped solidly against yours and he smiled at you crookedly. You collected the trash bags spread along the way together, heading across the beach to hoist them into the trucks before heading off to the next job. Cove slipped his warm hand into yours and you intertwined your fingers, strolling back to the car side by side. Aww. The drive back to your neighborhood and making your way to the shopping street was fairly quick, though Cove stressed a little about being late. Same. Luckily, he was able to find a parking spot nice and close to where you needed to be. You jumped out of the car and quickly went towards where you knew the group would be. Finally reaching the stall that was set up to sell tickets, you stopped for a moment to catch your breath. That was quite a flurry of activity. It would be your job for the rest of the afternoon to help sell tickets for the fundraising dinner, and looking around the street, you saw that there were plenty of potential buyers out today. That would hopefully help to move tickets along. Oh god, having to actually be one of those people that stands in shopping centers and stuff trying to sell things. A nightmare. I could not do that. It would kill me. The stall itself was simple, a portable table with a few plush sea animals as decorations and a banner stuck across the front. There were 2 volunteers who were already packing up and getting ready to head off to the beach. They gave you both a friendly smile as you arrived. Oh no character art or names for you. Hey Cove, Patch, how things go at the beach? It was good. The place is looking great. We're lucky to get a 2-for-1 when it comes to you guys. Cove cleared his throat awkwardly from beside you, and you noticed his cheeks flushing pink. Here we go again. You laughed it off. That's right, that's us. You felt your own cheeks get hotter. Their teasing rubbed you the wrong way. You shrugged it off. I'll just laugh it off. We're always happy to be of service. Well, we're happy to have you around. Cove smiled. Cove seemed to relax a little more after that, giving the volunteers a small smile. The volunteers made room for you and Cove behind the table while they circled round to the front of it. Thanks for coming in for a shift. We'd better make this quick so we can head off to the next place. Yeah, fine. You nodded and gave a small smile to show that you were listening. One of the volunteers handed you a clipboard with all the details needed to sell the tickets, while the other tossed a set of keys to Cove, which he caught with ease. These are for the money box and supply kit. Make sure to keep them on you at all times. Oh no, is someone going to steal them? Aside from handling the cash for the tickets, there's also a form on the clipboard for the guests to fill in their info. That way, we know how many tickets we've sold and who will be attending the event. There's a small script beneath that if you get stuck for what to say, and that's about it. Pretty simple, huh? I think we've got this. Satisfied that you knew what you were doing, the volunteers said their goodbyes and started walking away, leaving you and Cove to manage the stall alone. The keys jingled in his hand as Cove waved them off, before he stuffed them into the pocket of his pants for safekeeping. We'll bring in a lot of money. Have fun at the beach. Once the volunteers were out of sight, Cove dropped down into a chair behind the counter with a sigh. We made it here just in time. It's cool we traded places with nothing happening. They might have been late getting... It's cool we traded places with nothing happening. They might have been late getting... Oh yes, okay, cool. Yeah, I think I get it. They might have been late getting to cleanup duty. He leaned back in his seat, getting fully comfortable in the space, and gave you a small smile. Yeah, I'll take the other seat. It was just a simple plastic chair that squeaked when you sat on it, but it gave a good view of the street. We've got things under control. I was so stressed about getting here. Things could still go wrong. I'm glad this work lets us at least rest in one place. You rubbed your eyes tightly, your friendly smile. Yeah, we've got things under control. We're fine. This will be great. Look at how well we did with the beach cleanup. I'm sure this will be a piece of cake, touch wood. Cove grinned wider, his gaze pleased as he smiled at you. I like the way you think. Cove rummaged around the station a little, picking up a stuffed toy orca and holding it in front of his face. You had to admit that it was pretty cute, with its big bulging eyes and oversized flippers. Setting it back down on top of the table, Cove moved on to check out the rest of the stall, finding a cooler stashed beneath the table. When he pulled it out and opened the lid, you could see that it was filled with half-melted ice cubes and about half a dozen bottles of water. Grabbing one of the plastic bottles, he unscrewed the cap and took a long drink. You watched the condensation running along the side and onto his fingers. Do you want one? Cove set the water on his side of the table before pulling out another, holding it towards you. Sure, you accepted the water bottle. I brought my own, thanks. Now I'm not thirsty. Yeah, I mean, look, even if I brought my own, this one's cold, so... Thanks. After opening it, you took a drink and let out a satisfied sigh. You hadn't realized how thirsty you'd been, and it was always good to stay hydrated. It is! The two of you got settled in easily, and you took the chance to look over the paperwork on the clipboard. Cove joined you, leaning over your shoulder to get a better look. Seems like pretty standard stuff. He muttered and you nodded quietly. It had general info about the event and the work you needed to do at the stall, as well as the amount of tickets sold thus far, and the number remaining. Cove tapped a finger on the counter as he read quietly over the notes, muttering a few things now and then that you didn't fully hear. He seemed content to be there, and you were sure that the afternoon would pass by quickly. When he glanced out towards the crowd and made a small sound, you followed his line of sight to see that a potential supporter was on their way over to the booth. Wow, that's nice. You psyched yourself up, you were feeling anxious. It was time to do customer service. Oh no. You tried to relax for a bit. It's going to be a pain. You quietly continue checking. Yeah, psych myself up. Hell yeah, let's do this. This could be your first ticket sale of the day. You had to give it your all and had to make sure the event was a success. Hi, how are you doing today? Time passed as the two of you manned the stall, and as people approached, your sales pitch would either have them asking for a ticket or two, or heading off mumbling, maybe next time. All in all, you managed to sell a decent amount of tickets, and you could tell that Cove was happy with the outcome. Oh, that's nice. As the afternoon drifted along, 6 p.m. arrived, time to pack everything up and head home for the evening. Your work with Orca was far from over, but right now there was only one thing left to focus on, attending the actual event. Oh my god. The days continued on in a normal flow, and before long the night of the Orca fundraising dinner was upon you. It was early evening and you were in your room getting ready as the minutes ticked closer and closer towards the time you needed to leave. You wanted some privacy, so you had locked yourself away in your room. Liz was helping you pick an outfit, Cove was on speakerphone. Liz was helping you get ready while Cove was on speakerphone. Oh. Look, we're going to be hanging out with Cove all evening. I think it's nice just to hang out with my sister. Liz was helping you pick out an outfit. It can be a surprise for Cove. You know, you stood in front of her, considering different items while she sat on the edge of your bed, lips pursed tight. She had given a firm yes or no to each item you showed her, which had now reduced your options down to a small pile to choose from. The event had strict guidelines and you wouldn't be let in unless you were dressed to code. That meant having to find a truly professional outfit, but one that you were also happy with. You were happy to have a chance to dress fancy. Yes, that's me all over. You wanted to be practical about it. You weren't happy about having to dress up. No, I love dressing up fancy. There were a couple of outfits that didn't get nearly as much use as you would have liked, and now was the time to show them off. You smiled as you picked your way through the items, your excitement shining bright. You don't need to get too in your head thinking about the look, but you do need to hurry up and pick something. Oh, aren't you helpful, Liz? Don't push me, Liz. You laughed a little. You shook your head. I laugh a little. She's just trying to be helpful. It really shouldn't be this difficult to pick something out. You just needed to take the plunge and do it. Taking a deep breath to refocus yourself, you looked over the options one last time. It was time to decide on an outfit, and quick. Oh my gosh, you chose a dress, you chose a button-down shirt and pants, you chose a blouse and pants, you chose a button-down shirt and a skirt, you chose a blouse and a skirt. Ooh, I actually really like wearing dresses, though I do wear suits and stuff sometimes. I love a suspender moment. But let's go for a dress for this one. I'm just feeling it. Liz nodded in approval, clapping her hands together, satisfied. Finally, you are making some progress. Standing in front of your mirror, you quietly assessed your outfit. You thought about adding an accessory or two, or you liked your outfit as it was. No, let's add some accessories. Yes. It's all about intention. You needed a little something extra to finish it all off. Rummaging through the rest of your wardrobe, you picked out what you needed to complete your outfit. Whoa! A necklace, a bracelet, a watch, a belt, a ring, a pair of earrings, an anklet, a hat, a button vest, a tie, a shawl. Probably a necklace, that's usually what I go for, something nice and simple. Turning back to the mirror, you let Liz drape your best necklace around your neck and clasp it together at the back. Anything else? Well, I always wear a ring. I think that'll do. You don't want to overdo it. That'll do. Yeah. And with that, you decide to apply makeup. You ask Liz if she could put makeup on for you. You're ready to go. I wear makeup sometimes, just when I want to get dressed up. So sure. Leaning up in front of the mirror again, you grabbed your makeup bag and applied what you needed. Mascara, nail polish, eyeshadow, foundation. I usually don't do foundation on stuff. I usually go pretty basic, so I go eyeliner, carefully apply the liner to give your eyes more definition and presence. Ooh, and I do, whoa, body glitter, no, I'm okay, thank you. I do eyeshadow. You chose a color to complement the rest of the look and swiped it over your eyelids, taking care to blend it well. I don't usually do lipstick. I sometimes do blush. And though I love false lashes, I can't because I have glasses and they hit them, and so I can't blink properly. I'll put on some mascara. With your lashes fanned out like that, your eyes really stood out, and there's some blush. You swept your brush across the apple of your cheeks. That'll do. And that was everything. Just super simple, nothing too over the top. Finally, you're dressed. It had all come together. Cove sent through a text saying he was heading to the car and would see you in a bit. When you looked at Liz again, she had a goofy smile pulling at her lips. You look very nice, Patch. Oh, thank you. You twisted around in your outfit excitedly. I do look good, don't I? Hell yeah. Now you're talking like our moms. You blush and smile. I'm gonna spin around, yes! Knowing you had made the right decision with everything, you had you feeling more confident. Absolutely, wearing something that you feel good in is a fantastic feeling. Liz wiped a pretend tear away with her finger, sniffling dramatically. Oh, precious Patch, you're really all grown up. It happened in the blink of an eye when I wasn't even looking. She chuckled to herself, nudging you towards the door. All right, time to get downstairs. Your very official, though still kind of baby boyfriend awaits. He's very baby. You carefully headed down the stairs and into the living room, where your moms were waiting for your appearance. Oh, they're so lovely. As you entered, they both stood from the couch and came over to you, smiling broadly. You look so wonderful, Batch. And very mature, too. I know, right? They continued to coo and fuss over you until you managed to brush them off. Ma took Mum by the arm and held her close, the two of them admiring you proudly. You enjoyed the attention, thank you. You sighed dramatically. I already got this from Liz. You wondered why they were making such a big deal. I'll say thank you. It felt a little strange to have everyone's attention on you, but you liked it nonetheless. Yeah, it's nice. Liz smiled at you from where she stood, her expression soft. Ma came in to give you one last hug, and before you knew it, another pair of arms was wrapped around you, and then a third. Both Mum and Liz giggled as they hugged you tight. We hope you have so much fun tonight. We won't wait up for you. Stay out as long as you need. You're old enough now. Oh, that's nice. With a last wave goodbye, you left your family and approached the front door. It was time. Let's do this. Stepping out into the night, you closed the door behind you gently and looked out across the street. Aww! Whoa, look at that guy. Wow. So pretty. Cove was standing there in the street. His eyes met yours immediately, as if he'd been watching your house for the moment you would come out. He smiled bashfully. Hey, Patch. Hey stranger, I barely recognize you. You took the chance to check over his outfit as he walked across the way to meet you. It was formal for sure, though it didn't feel overly posh. It made sense for him and was honestly a sight for sore eyes. He was always beautiful to you. Oh, that's so nice. With a growing smile, he stepped closer, his cheeks reddening all the way down to his neck. Thank you for coming with me and for dressing really nicely for this. Your outfit is just perfect. Aww, he's so cute. Thank you. You felt shy over it. You look amazing tonight. You're so hot right now. You said flirtatiously. You shrugged. Look, I really want to. Okay? But I can't. You look amazing tonight. Look, we'll compromise, okay? We'll compromise. Look, if you want to see it, you could play it yourself. I'm sorry. I'm a nervous little baby. You glanced over him from head to toe, noting that his shirt, pants, and shoes were all shiny and new. He had put effort in, and it showed. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. Oh, look at your face. He couldn't stop himself from looking down in order to inspect his outfit now that you'd pointed it out, and to avoid having to face you directly after you did. But turning away did nothing to disguise how transparently pleased he was with the compliment. Oh, thank you. Then he shook his head, glanced back towards the garage, and, throwing a thumb over his shoulder, spoke. We should probably get going. Don't want to be late to such a grown-up event, right? Yeah, let's go. You headed over to Cove's car together, hopping in and strapping on your seatbelts. You were on your way. The event was being held at a place you had never been to before. You brought up the location on your phone to help Cove navigate there. It took some time to find the right address, and once there you were met with the task of finding a parking spot. Though you were on time, it seemed like everyone else had already showed up and claimed the spaces. Eventually you found a suitable place before realizing that it required payment. Cove covered the amount, taking a ticket from the machine and leaving it on the dashboard of the car. Wow! Whoa, look at that! I like the fish. And these little centerpiece things, are they like the bubbles move and stuff? That's pretty cool. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I like it. This would be a nice place for dancing later. Despite the small hold-up, you managed to ultimately make it to the event and confirm you were on the guest list before being shown into the dining area. Ooh, he looked scared. Cove whistled low as he looked around, taking in the extravagance of the room. Chandeliers hung from the ceiling and the entire place was decked out with beautiful oceanic displays. You were stunned yourself. It was extremely high class, even more so than you had already expected. It's so nice. It's the best looking event I've ever been to. It's way too frilly for me. It's so overdone. Could be worse. I didn't comment. This is the best looking event I've ever been to. Are you kidding me? This is beautiful. Hell yeah. Your lips parted in a wondrous smile as you took in the decorations and the guests all dressed to the nines. Cove met your eyes with a similar look on his face. You got the impression that he felt the same way about it all. The sound of your names being called out echoed over the din in the room. When you looked around, you recognized a couple of the organization leaders looking your way. They approached you both in greeting, giving you a welcoming smile and a hello. Cove, Patch, we're glad to see that you could make it, especially after all the hard work you've done to make this night happen. This is a fun voice, I like this one. Definitely, I wasn't gonna miss it. Hi. You say that as if we had a choice, you joked. I wouldn't miss it either. Hello, I'm thrilled to have made it. You gave yourself a nod. Yeah, I'm very happy. The place looks amazing. It's so nice to do something like this. Well, thank you for being a part of the team. You're our best power couple, that's for sure. You're always welcome to participate in more events when they come up. Oh, that's sweet, thank you. Oh, the little baby got embarrassed. Cove let out an awkward, breathy laugh and rubbed at the back of his neck. Oh, that's so cute. Me and the boyfriend would be happy too. Cove shrugged then, eyes darting around the place with an awkward look. I guess we should Talk to more people? There isn't much else to do at an event like this. Yeah, it's a talking one. I feel like I've kind of gotten better at schmoozing and stuff, like talking myself up, mostly from D&D. D&D, it makes you good at getting to the core of a person and being able to talk concisely and get your point across. Fuck, I love D&D, dude. You found your way into groups of people who were standing around chatting while some light music played in the background. Servers with large silver trays were gliding between the guests, offering drinks and canapes. I was going to say capanese, which is also a fun word. I don't think it's a real one, but you know. Cove was clearly hesitant to actually approach the people, but was able to respond when various people greeted him first. Oh yeah, that's totally fine. Oh yeah, see, we'll make a good pair because I'm a bit more comfortable. I can initiate things, you know, when I need to. You are enjoying talking to so many different people, both guests and members of the organization alike, and found yourself enjoying the company. The sound of a microphone crackling came from the podium at the other end of the room. Someone who you assumed must be the host for the evening was asking everyone to sit down in preparation for the meal and speeches. You and Cove looked for your table, finding it easily by the little name cards that were placed delicately beside the napkins. Oh, hello. A few others joined you at the table, though they weren't anyone that you recognized. The host was still speaking as people were settling, starting off the speeches by giving a welcome to everyone attending. She went on to provide some more information about Orca, which she supposed was for the guests who weren't a part of the organization, the purpose of the fundraiser tonight. Orca's goals, as she explained it, were to aid in the conservation and restoration of oceans and beaches. There were many people who had helped to make the group as successful as it was. When she read off a list of several volunteers who worked on making the event happen, Cove's name was one of the first to come up. Aww! His cheeks flushed with shy pride at that. Hell yeah, bud! Hell yeah! That's awesome! Go you! Sorry, I'm just realizing, is that one up in the back left just like a picture of... It's a hanging picture made to look like an aquarium. Is that it? That's so funny. I love that. Your name came up a little further down the list. You were smiling from ear to ear at the mention. As you continued on to thank the large donors for the event, you checked over at Cove. He was still grinning happily to himself and tapping his fingers over the top of his knees, pretty pleased to have been mentioned by name. He laughed quietly at his reaction. You not roll your eyes? That's so rude. He's proud of himself. Be supportive. Jeez Louise. You're excited for him. You can relate to that feeling. You try to keep focusing. I'm not gonna laugh, even if it's like a kind of supportive laugh. I'm excited for him. Yeah, hell yeah, he's worked hard and he's gotten recognition for his hard work. That's awesome. He had worked so hard to make this event happen, it was the least that he deserved, absolutely. While the host continued speaking, multiple servers dressed in black were setting the first course of the menu in front of the guests. One of the servers set down a plate in front of you and you thanked them quietly before looking over the dish with interest. You recognized the dish to be a simple Caesar salad. The host quickly wrapped up the end of her speech, thanking everyone once more before inviting you all to begin your meal. Anyone who had included a special dietary note when signing up for the event received a vegan or vegetarian version. There were also small baskets of bread around the table. Heck yeah, I love bread, dude. You ate both the salad and the bread. Yes, I don't even need to look at the other options. Cove wolfed down his salad before munching into a breadstick, quietly devouring that as well. I hope the next part comes out soon and is bigger. Yeah, you could hear him mumbling to himself as he reached over for another piece of bread. He glanced around the table and you followed his line of sight with curiosity, noticing that everyone else was still eating the salad. Stopping his hand mid-air, he quickly pulled back and rested it on his lap without taking another breadstick after all. Yeah, you don't want to fill up on bread, dude. It might be... You can always have more bread later, but it's save room for the biggin. It was clear that he was starting to feel unsure of himself, and he looked a little out of place here. No, you're doing great, bud. He folded his arms and turned them away from you. Oh wait, he folded his arms and turned away from them to you. Yeah, nice. Hey, did you like the salad? It was really good. It was too small. It was alright. It was pretty bad. He simply choked. Yeah, it was really good. I can't wait to see what else they serve. His gaze remained purposely tunneled on you, as if he was trying not to even think about what the rest of the table might be doing. Hey, that's okay. He's feeling a bit anxious. He's trying to take control of the situation a little bit, and focusing on me is what helps him feel a bit more comfortable. Then hell yeah, dude, you're self-regulating. We get it. You gave Cove a pat on the head. You made silly faces at the other guests while they weren't looking. God, no, I could never do that. What if they turn around? You picked up a breadstick and gave it to Cove. You discreetly flipped the other guests off. Oh, when I do my genocide round, that's what I'm gonna do. You sat there quietly, feeling uncomfortable yourself. Yeah, just give him a pat on the hand. Hey, I'm here, bud. You're all good. His lips tilted up at the corners, and he seemed touched by the reassurance. It wasn't much longer until the main course was arriving and the various chicken, steak, and veggie dishes were being served throughout the room. The array of scents wafted through the room, making your mouth water. You had opted for the vegan dish, and the meal was set in front of you. Looked so delicious that you couldn't wait to tuck in. Cove had gone for the steak, and once he started to dig in, he was completely absorbed by his meal. You're gonna choke if you keep inhaling your food like that. You kicked him under the table teasingly. You put a hand on his thigh under the table. Okay, I'm not good with reading social cues. Is this a, hey bud, slow down, or is this the, hey bud? Like, wait, no, that didn't come across as flirty as I needed it to make my point. You know what I mean. You flicked something at him while he was off guard. You focused on your own food. I'm gonna kick it. Save. I'm gonna kick him. The tips of your toes knocked against his shin discreetly, but enough for him to really feel it. He bolted upright in shock, almost choking on his mouthful of food. The look he gave you was far from impressed, but his eyes still held a glint of amusement. You threw your gaze away from him innocently, as though you had done nothing at all. When you peeked to see if he'd gotten off scot-free, he rolled his eyes and returned to his meal. You chuckled lightly beneath your breath, and he did the same, thoroughly entertained. Okay, cool. So that was fine. All right. Dinner eventually. Oh my god, is that dessert? Yes, there was. Okay, I should have read ahead. Okay, dinner eventually ended, and the last of all was the dessert, a lemon sorbet that had been partially dyed blue. That sounds sick, dude. Sick. Hell yeah. The mix of white with bold streaks of blue made the little scoop look like a ball of roaring ocean waves. That's so creative. I love it. The effect was very pretty, but the serving size was small. Perhaps, maybe we can go for like a burrito after this. That'd be fun. Nighttime burrito. Perhaps it was the price to pay for artistry. You turned to Cove to find him pouting a little at the size of it. Digging into the dessert, it took him only a few bites to polish it off. Again, the other people around the table had barely begun eating. What is wrong with everyone? An unimpressed air settled over him as he sat back in his chair, sipping at his water unhappily. You should appreciate what you got. No, hey, look, You laughed, smoking. You're such a big baby. We can get more dessert later. You cleared your throat. Yeah, no, totally. We can get more dessert later. Look, it sucks. I get it. It would have been nice to get more ice cream. But, we can just go get some more ice cream after this. I mean, double ice cream, oh yeah. You gave him an encouraging smile. He looked up at you sheepishly, embarrassed to have been caught sulking over such a thing. He fumbled for a defense. No, hey, same, dude. It was just really good. It was just really good, that's all, and now it's gone. But I'm okay. With a slight grin, he shrugged to show that he was really fine. Would you like a bite of mine? Do you want my dessert? Would you like a bite of mine? You scooped up a spoonful of your sorbet and offered it to him, holding a hand beneath it to avoid any drips. His eyes widened as he eyed the dessert hungrily, surprised by the offer. Recovering quickly, he leaned forward over the table, lifting out of the chair a little as he ate the treat from your spoon. As he sat back, humming happily with his mouth full, you couldn't help but smile at the sight. Cove swallowed the faux ocean and let out a satisfied sigh. Even though it wasn't that much more, the simple fact that he'd gotten more hit the spot. Thanks, Patch. You're welcome. You were pleased to see he was perkier, and you went back to eating the rest of your dessert. Another person from Orca got up on stage to make a speech as everyone was nearing the end of their meal. They spoke mostly about the individual projects that the organization was working on and their plans for the near future, as well as encouraging anyone who was interested to consider volunteering. Cove bent forward over the table with his chin balanced on a hand, listening attentively to the words. As they came to a conclusion and everyone gave them a round of applause, Cove caught your eye and smiled. You wondered what would happen now. Dancing! I hope there's dancing. That's pretty. I like that. I like that. Oh yeah, they're projectors. So they're just projecting pictures of fish. I love that. Commitment is good. And then the lights dimmed. A couple of spotlights came on, projecting a water-like effect around the room. Oh yes, beautiful. I love it. The guests gushed over the ambience, and you looked around with wide eyes at the ripples on the walls. The DJ that had previously been playing some soft mood music in the background announced that the floor was open for dancing, slowly turning the volume up so it drifted through the space. Hell yeah, dude. When you glanced at Cove, his eyebrows had shut up and he mumbled quietly. I didn't know there would be... Oh, there's fun putting the ocean pattern over him. That's nice. I didn't know there would be dancing. I guess it makes sense now that I think about it. He gave an awkward laugh as you both watched as people rose from their seats. It was clear now that many of the donors were couples. Aww. A small crowd had started to form on the dance floor, and the DJ played a romantic song to get everyone started off. Cove let his gaze float over the small sea of guests who were moving onto the floor, his hands twisting in his lap as his lips pulled into a tight line. And then with a breath and a lift of his hand, he turned to you. "Wanna dance with me?" "Oh, yeah, of course I do." No. I was just about to ask you the same thing. Of course I do. His face lit up. You can tell even beneath the dim light. Accepting Cove's outstretched hand, you rose from your seats together and stepped out onto the dance floor. When you found a spot for yourselves amongst the other guests, you turned and faced him, standing close. Cove gave you a small smile as you looked directly at him in front of you. He seemed a little nervous. "I don't know how to dance. Not for real," he admitted with a slight squeeze to your hand and a sheepish look. You gave him a reassuring grin and nudged a little closer to him still. "It's okay, I know." With a familiar face full of affection, he let go of you and raised his arms to slide both of his hands behind your neck. Oh. You wrapped your arms around him in response. Together you gently swayed to the music, moving your feet in time to the delicate beat. It was nice just being here like this, in each other's arms. You didn't have to worry about whether you knew the right steps or not. There was always a way to make it work between the two of you. Cove leaned his head in nearer to yours, his forehead so close to yours that they almost touched. His breath was warm as he let out a contented sigh, tickling your skin. "You really do look so good tonight. You're such a stunning person." "You clean up pretty well yourself." He chuckled softly as you took a second to admire him, running your eyes down the front of his chest. "Have you had a nice time? I hope you did." "Yes, I have. I came here with you, so yeah. I was having a pretty bad time until right now. Well, I've had worse nights." You leaned in and kissed him. "Yes, I think a kiss right now would be very sweet." His eyelids fluttered closed as your lips met in a soft kiss, and when he pulled back, he smiled at you gently. His bright eyes stayed locked on yours, studying you with unmistakable adoration. "Thank you for staying. You're still here, just like you promised you would be." "What do you mean? Like from the dance? From your life in general?" Your heart felt light as you continued to sway whilst holding your most beloved person, so glad to be able to share a moment like this with him. "A lot has happened, huh?" You nodded faintly. You weren't sure if he meant just today, this summer, or your entire time knowing each other. But it really didn't matter. It was true either way. Thinking back on the years that you and Cove had been neighbours, it was difficult to even try to reflect on it all at once. "I'm glad we ended up here." He gave you a soft look and you beamed, knowing that could also mean many things, but from his tone, you were certain he didn't only mean here at this event. It was more than that. There's nowhere else I'd rather be, so am I. I think we have to tell your dad thanks. You're amazing. You couldn't even speak. You chuckled happily at the two of you and the long adventure you'd been on. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. You loved him. Fully and completely you did. His smile widened and he pressed his body against yours, resting his head into the crook of your neck, stroking the back of your head with his fingers. You tightened your grip on him and let your head fall against his shoulder. As the night drifted on, you held each other tight, swaying to the music as if you were the only ones in the room. Cove was sweet the entire time, his warmth brushing against your skin as he whispered words of affection in your ear. He was extremely good at making you feel special. You couldn't have hidden your blissful smile even if you wanted to. The party eventually started to wind down, and at last, it came to an end. When the main lights turned on, you blinked against the brightness of them, making sure you still had Cove in your sights. One final speaker came up to the podium of the stage, thanking all the guests for coming and wishing everyone a good night. It was bittersweet to see it come to a close. Your time with Cove here was precious. At least the memories could be brought with you. Giving the space one more look, you walked together with Cove out to the parking lot. The other guests were doing the same, so you got stuck in a bit of a crowd. Though Cove was so tall you could always see him, and it was easy enough not to get separated. The parking lot itself was quite big, and even more noticeable now with fewer cars blocking the view. It took a little while to actually locate Cove's car across its expanse. Eventually you found it, and the two of you bundled inside the vehicle and buckled up. The trip home was quiet as you both silently reflected back on the experience. The event had been the biggest night of the year for Orca, and now it was all over, just like that. Outside your window, the surroundings soon became familiar, and you found yourselves back in your neighbourhood. Cove pulled the car into his driveway and put it in park before letting out a relieved breath. Home sweet home. Yeah. After climbing out of the car, you walked slowly down the road, Cove coming over to stand beside you. You stopped in the middle of the street, right between your house and his, and turned to him, finding him in the process of opening his mouth to speak. Strangely, he clamped his lips together as though he had suddenly thought better of it. You also stayed silent. It was quite a night. Good night, Cove. Thanks for taking me tonight. This is kind of awkward. That was quite a night. Cove let out a breathy laugh, nodding in agreement. Yeah, it was. You kissed him goodnight, you stepped in for a hug, you ruffled his hair playfully, you gave him a friendly nudge, you patted him on the arm. Yeah, we'll give him a kiss goodnight. Yes. After such a lovely romantic evening. Needing to be close again before the night ended, you pressed your lips against his in a gentle kiss. He smiled as you separated, running his fingers over the side of your face. Night, Patch. With a last wispy smile, he left towards his front door. Figuring you shouldn't linger in the street for much longer, you crossed the remainder of the road and did the same. When you reached your house, you pulled out your keys and stuck them in the door, trying your best to be silent about it. Opening the door a crack, you turned back and looked at Cove from over your shoulder. Your eyebrows lifted in surprise to see he was doing the same, holding his front door open but waiting for you to go inside before he did. You shared an amused smile before you both stepped into your own houses, locking the door behind you. It was quite late, so everyone else was already asleep. As quiet as a mouse, you tiptoed up to your bedroom and changed out of your formal clothes into your pajamas. Now that you were finally home, you were exhausted. You brushed your teeth and got ready for bed in darkness before crawling under the covers and letting out a heavy breath. It was still strange to think about how that was it. The build-up to the event had felt like so much, and now it was completely behind you. Your mind was busy with rapid yet muddled thoughts as you faded closer and closer to sleep. As unconsciousness creeped up on you, you felt more content. It was a big deal, but there would be more in the future. You could accept what it had been, and you could dream about what you'd get to experience next. Oh, Oh, okay. And then you were taken away from dreams right back into reality by a sound. Your eyebrows pinched together, fully unprepared to be part of the waking world again. The day was over, and it had been an eventful one. But you heard another noise. It was tapping. Your eyes flew open. The window. There was tapping that came from your window. Wow! You don't say! Cove Holden. You slowly forced yourself to get up. You went over to let the guy in. Yeah, we'll hurry over, of course. You tumbled out of bed, taking your blankets with you. You left it on the floor when you scampered over to the window. You saw through the glass that Cove's eyebrows were raised, and you suddenly realized that in your rush you hadn't taken care to be quiet. He had probably heard you crash to the floor. But that wasn't the matter at hand. You flung open your window and faced him completely, with nothing separating the two of you any longer. You had not been surprised to find Cove awkwardly crouched on your window ledge. However, you were taken aback to see that he was a little overdressed. Cove hadn't changed out of his formal clothes. Oh. You also noticed that he was perched clumsily. You didn't know if it was because he was trying to keep his fancy clothes clean, or if he felt weird about something. His body was too stiff and awkward. Cove smiled sheepishly. What are you doing? Hi, Patch. Hi, Cove. Why are you here? How come you're dressed like that? It's nice to see you, Romeo. Have you looked at a clock? It's too late for this. Yeah, I'll say this one. It's nice to see you, Romeo. You moved aside and let him climb inside. He cautiously stepped down by stretching his legs over. Strangely, he didn't use his hands for support. It was clear to you now. He was holding something. When he was safely on his feet, he briefly checked out his clothes, twisting around to see the back of his pants. He caught you looking and shrugged. I did go home after the event, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to settle down, so I just walked back out. I needed fresh air and time away from everything. He paused for a moment and raised his clasped hands together where you could see them. But then something happened, and, well, so I have something I want to show you. Oh? Cove grinned like a child and gently unfurled his fingers, not being able to keep you in suspense for even a minute. What? You caught a firefly? Wow! Carefully sitting inside was a tiny yellow light. It blinked off and then on again. A firefly. Delicately, he moved his hand closer so you could see the creature better. Oh, that's so sweet. They're back. Oh! I like this drawing of him. This is very sweet. He closed his eyes, his smile now faintly illuminated by his insect companion. Remember the first time I caught one? I always will. I could barely manage anything because of that neon pink cast I was stuck with all summer. You were still stunned by what was happening, but couldn't help snickering when Cove did. It was thanks to you that I finally held a firefly in my own hand. Oh. You're welcome, Cove. Honestly, I didn't think I'd see them this year. I don't know why. It's just they're kind of late, and I guess I've been worrying about a lot of stuff lately. You could tell that the firefly genuinely lifted his spirits. He seemed at peace, and he wanted to share that with you. The fact that his first thought after discovering the fireflies was to come over and celebrate the joy with you made you suddenly feel very cherished. Cove opened his eyes, but he looked away, not meeting yours. It's really nice, I think. Even if the fireflies disappear for a while, it doesn't mean they're really gone. They'll come back. I can see them again. He smiled. Technically, the fireflies aren't even gone. They're just eggs and larvae. A smile. And then you looked at the firefly keenly. There was definitely something poetic about them. You felt a warmth in your heart. Cove looked at your face, his smile now fragile. It makes me think about the two of us. We're together, then we say goodbye, and then we're together again. Day after day, year after year, and even if our time apart gets longer, that doesn't make it forever. Patch, I'll always be there, whenever you want to see me. Oh, you were so in love with him. There was nothing else you could think then, and he needed to know. You were so happy to be with him. He needed to know that. Yeah, this one. Your heart started to pound in your ears, and all you could hear was blood rushing. Oh. You looked at Cove and found yourself fixated. The only thing you were aware of was your rapid pulse and him. It was as if your entire relationship was playing over in your mind every step that led you here. Everything from the first night you met to how you started as little kids who were good friends and grew even closer. To the first time you saw fireflies together, to the first time he snuck in your room, and then to every other moment you shared. All of it came back to you. Cove's expression had turned curious as you left him waiting, wordless. He tilted his head in a question. His lips parted to speak, but you went first. I love you. I'm in love with you. I love you, Cove. I love you so, so much. Aww. That's interesting, just different ways of saying it. I think maybe just I love you, just plain and simple. Yeah. Oh. With your confession, the world stopped for a second. Cove froze. Oh. Oh. Oh my gosh. Then, as if your words had turned a faucet, tears began to fall down Cove's cheeks. He silently mouthed something, but you couldn't make out a word. Cove? You stepped closer and closer, removing the distance between the two of you. Oh! He covered his mouth with a hand. He must have forgotten about the firefly resting there, and it flew off into the night with a twinkle. He used his other hand to shakily reach over and interlaced his fingers with yours. He gripped you tightly as he started sobbing harder. Oh, sorry. You cried with him. You wiped away his tears. You squeezed his hand back. You smiled at him. You chuckled back. I'm gonna wipe away his tears. That's so cute. Gently, you took your free hand and wiped his tears away. I love you, Cove. It's okay, Cove. It's okay, I promise. Yeah, I had a feeling it would go like this. Can you tell me how you feel? No, let's say it again. I love you, Cove. Cove removed the hand from his mouth and used it to hold the back of your head. He brought your face to him and your foreheads brushed together. He looked straight into your eyes. His voice trembled, it cracked and it shook. This was raw, straight from Cove's heart. I love you. He closed his eyes tightly and repeated himself, but now he could say it firmly. I love you. His aqua eyes sparkled when he opened them again. Fresh tears poured out with an outburst of emotion. Patch, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I can't get it together. It's just, I tried so much to love you quietly, secretly, and that being it, but I really wanted you to feel the same. I wanted you to love me back. I wanted to hear you say it. Oh, I just kept thinking, what if you didn't? Maybe what I felt was too much, and oh, I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't know what to do, but I didn't want to put any of that on you either. You weren't doing something bad. Everything you do is right and wonderful. It wasn't your fault I had to be like that. I'm just like that. He leaned in closer, hiding his face from view, his lips trailing over your ear. He whispered, but you love me. You love me. He moved his head back, so his forehead was centered on yours, and then he closed his eyes. He shook. The hand you still held was trembling. I'm so sorry. I'm really always like this. Are you kidding? No, this is great. This is great. Yeah, no, but I mean, sharing your emotions, that's, I'm glad you feel like you can do that now. And I'm sorry you felt like you couldn't share them before. You just hold him, I think. You pulled him against you tightly. He leaned into your touch desperately. You could feel goosebumps on his skin, and when you rested your chin on his shoulder, you saw that the little hairs on the back of his neck stood up. Cove managed to bring a fragile smile onto his face. He was still shaking, but there was something decided about him now. I love you, Patch. I love you. Oh, he repeated it more, as if to make up for all the times he didn't let himself say it before. As he spoke, his tears dried up, and his breathing became more even, sorry. His breathing became even more. The reaffirmation helped him calm down. Thank you for telling me. Cove's smile was bolder, even as his voice wavered and he ducked his head with a childish shyness. He clearly fought against getting emotional again. His water... Oh, I got an achievement unlocked. Bloomed romance. Oh, that's so nice. His watery eyes, his mussed hair, the tears still drying on his cheeks. You loved him so much. I needed to tell you that. You've always been lucky, haven't you? I'm so happy to have done it. You're welcome. It was only the truth. I love you. I needed to tell you. Cove held the sides of your face, but moved his thumb down to softly brush your lips. It was exciting. He wanted to keep touching you, and you wanted that too. Okay, wow. You kissed his lips, you kissed his neck, you kissed all over his face, you ran a hand through his hair, you pressed him up against the wall. Damn, okay. You moved your hands down his chest. Oh my gosh. See, the thing is, I think if I were playing a different game, like one that's like flirtiness is an inherent part to it, I think I'd be fine with it. But this one has set up such a wholesome and like just a cute romantic energy that this is so flustering. Okay, we just give you. You began to pull Cove into a kiss, and he welcomed it. Both his hands cradled your head gently. He was full of sweetness for you, and eagerly you took it. You only separated when you needed air. You huffed, getting oxygen back into your lungs, all while grinning at your boyfriend. Cove beamed at you and then kissed you back once more, a brief but solid stamp of his affection. Oh my god, you could just do all of it? Well, look. As if anyone is sat here and watched through all of this and doesn't want this to happen. Are you kidding me? We love this guy. He's gonna freak the hell out of this. You nuzzled up against him. You could hear his breathing pick up. You kissed across the exposed part of his neck. He made a quick gasp and let it out as a long sigh. While you busied yourself over his neck, he reached down to stroke your thighs slowly. Oh my god. I mean, I guess when I picked like the full consent route, I guess this is what I was doing. I want my he has pretty hair, okay? Leave me alone. I'm an awkward ace, okay? Okay? You stayed close to him and used one hand to comb through his hair. He leaned into your hand when your fingers got deeper into his strands. That's an interesting way to describe it. Cove tilted his head and brought his mouth to yours. Your lips delicately touched, too brief and slight to be a true kiss, but enough to be exciting. The slight touches were because he was also using his mouth to mumble something, although you couldn't make out any clear words. Then you stepped forward with purpose and pressed your hands against his shoulders. You kept walking. His breath widened, but he let you lead him, stepping back at the prompting. Cove squeaked when he made contact with the wall. You stared up at his flushed face. Cove's body was tense being in such a position, but you knew with complete certainty that it wasn't in a bad way. You could feel one of his knees rubbing against the inside of your leg encouragingly. I'm like, while I'm reading the actual statement, I'm kind of fine, but it's making active decisions. You moved your face over to his cheek and gave it a nice smooch. Oh, you smiled and then planted another on the tip of his nose. You kissed across his forehead, moved on to gently brush your lips against his eyelids and then the corners of his mouth. He made small pleased noises and wrapped his arms around your lower back. He pressed himself even closer against you. Yeah. You brought one hand to the nape of his neck while you ran the other along his chest. His shirt wrinkled, but neither of you cared. His body was firm to the touch. He kissed your ear long enough to heat it up and down. He kissed your ear long enough to heat it up and down to your jawline, letting the warmth spread while you touched him. Okay. You slid your hand down his back, skimming the muscle underneath. You could feel them tightening the lower you got. You paused at the base of his spine, fingers tapping with intention, but giving him time to voice a disagreement with your course of action. He did quietly murmur something. It's okay, I don't mind. I mean, it's not just that I want you to... He couldn't muster the last word. He couldn't muster the last word, but still feeling validated, you let your hand cup his butt and squeeze it. Cove took a sharp breath. This is so funny, just so contrasted to the rest of the game. I don't know. His voice was laced with embarrassment, but not dissatisfaction. Then Cove carefully rested his hands on your shoulders and looked away. He took a few deep breaths as he kept you there. You could tell he was as worked up as he could manage for tonight. That was all right. You were feeling rather satisfied too. Sure, alrighty then. You smiled a little and tried to slow your own racing heart. You couldn't help thinking about how happy you were to be with him, how you were certain you wanted to spend the rest of your life with him, how you were certain you wanted to spend your life with him, and you told him as much. Oh. I mean, that's a lot of pressure to put on, I think, a relationship, but also just from his whole thing, I think that's what he's about. I hope we get to spend our whole lives together. Oh. Cove's expression crumpled again. He wasn't able to tamp down the newest wave of emotion. His eyes watered once more, and he took a few heavy breaths. I hope so too. We could be together. Always have a place of our own. And a kid and kids and also... I'm not about kids. Sorry. But also pets. Lots of them. Also pets. Don't you think so? He laughed briefly. Of course, pets too. You think I'd leave Dash with Dad? You have a pet? How long have I known you? I've only just learned that you have a pet. You felt warm being able to talk about this openly. You liked to imagine the life you could have together, and now you could do it with him. He rubbed his scarred arm bashfully. You know, I thought having to grow up for real was going to be so hard. I didn't know if I even could. But you, well, maybe it won't be that impossible. I mean, I better make sure it's not, huh? I'm looking forward to it. Finally, he was able to laugh softly. The tears were nothing but salty remnants on his cheeks. He brightened up, as if finally being able to process the absolute joy of tonight in full. You felt good too, and took a little more time together to simply exist in the new dynamic you had stepped into. Cove looked into your eyes with a soft, slightly shy expression. There was hope in his smile. Do you want to go to the hill with me? I bet there's still fireflies. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Cove brightened. He was practically bouncing at the thought of a secret excursion before he suddenly became bashful. So, how should we leave? We could just try the door, but we don't have to do the window thing, but maybe that'd bother your family? You both chuckled at how awkward it would be if your mums, or worse, Liz, saw you going on a midnight firefly catching trip. You'd be sure to avoid that. Yeah, let's just use the window, that's fine. Let's go through the window. Cove nodded in understanding. You grabbed some shoes and readied yourself for an adventure. You were glad that there was no way you'd run into another soul outside. Coke would be way overdressed and you'd still be in your jammies. You let Cove go first. He stepped back onto the ledge as you carefully followed. He shuffled along and soon you reached the garage. You planned to use the fence from there to reach the ground. Cove climbed down the fence. He wobbled once but made it without an issue. He leaned against the fence and projected hushed words up to where you were waiting. Do you want help? Nah, I've got it. You reached the ground with ease. It wasn't difficult, especially with the fence there to help you. Oh, pretty. Cove gave you an encouraging smile, but neither of you risked speaking yet. You briskly snuck behind the house and up to the old white poppy hill. And Cove was right. The entire hill was lit up, insects twinkling here and there with their pale yellow light. Cove let out a contented sigh, finally able to relax in full. He strode further up the hill to better enjoy the view. You walked along as well, letting yourself be surrounded by the twinkling display. Then, without warning, Cove plopped onto his back. He paid no mind to smacking his formal attire in the grass. He put an arm under his head and stretched the rest of his limbs out. He was clearly getting quite comfortable in the dirt there. Yeah, I'll lay down too. You sat down first, then fell back. You could see the stars when you looked up at the night sky. Well, I'm going to wrap an arm around him, yeah. He was warm in contrast to the chilly ground. Cove returned your embrace with a free arm, tucking lightly around the base of your neck, and rested his head against you. I wonder if Dad will be mad about the grass stains. He tugged at the collar of his shirt. He didn't sound concerned, just idly curious. At least they're dark. If you're lucky, he won't be able to tell. His smile bent a little, and it went silent between you. The only sounds were the rustling of bugs in the breeze, and the far-away crashes of waves on the sea. You couldn't help but reflect on what happened only a brief time earlier. Between this and your room, it almost felt like a different world. Was it even real? What happened between you two? You could almost be convinced it wasn't, and that you had never actually stopped dreaming. You stole a glance at Cove. He caught you and blushed. That little reddening assured you. Cove remembered the same as you. What you had was real. You continued watching fireflies. You wanted to catch some fireflies. You asked Cove if he wanted to catch fireflies. You challenged him to a rolling race down the hill. Oh, can we dance? That's cute. Oh, but I think it's nice just lying here watching them, actually. I think I just want to keep watching them. It was easy to be swept away by the atmosphere, fireflies and stars, all glowing in the night, and white poppies glittering by their light. The view brought back precious childhood memories. You nuzzled your head against Cove, staying close. You had no desire to move any time soon. Both of you were determined to take in as much as you could. You smiled with contentment as the fireflies danced. The hour grew late, and the fireflies mostly dispersed, until only a few stragglers remained. Then, even they blinked out of sight, leaving you alone with Cove and your thoughts. Cove stole a second to release the words that had been filling his head during the quiet. I love you, Patch. You felt a great deal of happiness. Cove's expression was completely open, honest, and full of sincerity. He meant every word. He truly loved you. No matter how much it didn't seem real yet, it was. It felt as though this was a night that would never end, but you knew it would have to, all too soon. You were only grateful to have been a part of it. These were moments to truly treasure. You'd never let yourself forget them. Oh, that was beautiful. That was... wow. Ooh, I feel like I'm waking up from a dream. Oh, sleepy. That was really, really sweet. Also a little steamy, but also I get flustered by just about anything, so considering I have a whole slew of dating sims that I'm planning to play, and this is how I get flustered over just them casually kissing and stuff. We'll see how I go. Oh, one more to go, and then the end. That's crazy. Well, stick around and see it. I'm gonna try and get to it soon. So I hope you've all had a good time, and I'll see you in this one. Goodbye. Bye.